The NBA today unveiled its most expansive creator initiative ever for the 2024-2025 season, featuring an expanded NBA Creator Cup series and a new content sharing network in partnership with WSC Sports. On opening night, popular streamer Kai Cenat will collaborate with the NBA, taking fans behind the scenes of his experience attending the New York Knicks versus Celtics game. Now, I don't know if anybody else actually saw what he put out. I know he was at the game, like courtside, and
yeah, he had the Mafia-thon 2 thing. He was rolling up in some like old
car or something like that, and his homeboys. But I didn't see anything else
in my city. Now let me check.
Did anybody see anything else though?
I don't know.
I did not. I did not see anything else.
I didn't see anything else.
Yeah, that was all I saw.
We got to be on Snapchat. Okay.
Damo?
That's crazy. That's
so for a little bit more insight, when you click on the tweet here or the link that they put in there, the NBA is giving selected influencers access to over 25,000 hours of game footage and an AI editing tools like to create engaging content. That's kind of crazy. Notable creators like Thinking Basketball and Swish Cultures will use this footage for reaction videos to boost fan engagement. Additionally, the season kicks off with popular streamer Kai Cenat and Drew Afulo, who will provide behind-the-scenes experiences at live games on opening nights. This is from Kai. As a lifelong fan of this league, it's a dream come true to work with the NBA and other creators to bring more content to my supporters this season than ever before. Before we get into Alvini's tweet, just that what they claim to be offering, 25,000 hours of game footage and AI editing tools to create engaging content. How do we feel about what they're even offering or what this even looks like on the surface before we get into what Alvini said?
Sounds familiar to me. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, definitely sounds familiar to me.
I don't know where I heard of a company offering people exclusive library of footage, thousands of hours of footage, and AI editing tools. Oh, that's new. AI editing tools. The offer is, hey man, all I'm gonna say is if y'all get reached out, just read the fine print. That's all I fucking ask. Read the fine print. Know what you're getting into. There are videos out there on what said company has offered in the past and people's past experiences about said company. And yes, it is the same company. I read the fine print in the article. Yeah, just know what you're getting into, gang. Because it sounds similar. That's all I'm gonna say.
Hard retweet.
Sounds like deja vu from what a lot of people who have been a part of the community for a long time know. They definitely know. And for a lot of people that are just now finding out, this is just a scam that was ran 5 years ago, in my opinion. That's what I'm going to call it. We have seen this exact same thing before.
Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and make this the longest echo chamber of all time. Yeah, just be careful. Any aspiring creators, even my dumb ass has seen them emails. I liked working alone in the past, and I just had trust issues. To be honest, sometimes I get them emails and think it was just like one of you chat niggas trying to hack my shit. But hey man, like be careful. That's all I'm gonna say. Be careful. Congrats if the bag's there, but be careful.
Yeah, let me say this, because if you know my stance on it, I've been negative of them. That was a long time ago, and I just don't know if they've changed internally, because I've heard some things as well that they've changed for the better. But ultimately, my biggest advice to anyone getting that offer is just, again, know what you're really getting into, man. Because when they reached out to me, I was a 16-year-old kid. You know what I'm saying? Like, my parents thought YouTube was a virus at the time type of thing. But I got this email from the NBA wanting to partner with me. And, you know, I was jumping for joy. That was like a dream come true. Long story short, just don't get taken advantage.
Well, give them a real brief synopsis as to what happened.
So like I said, when I started getting traction on NBA YouTube, it was around 2017, 2018. They reached out to me, I believe less than 10,000 or 20,000 subs, so relatively small. And, you know, got an email from the NBA or a company associated with the NBA. And I was like, okay, cool. You know, a lot of my videos were getting claimed at that time. So I was like, okay, cool. If I start working with the NBA, hopefully, they will favor me in terms of these copyright issues. And, you know, maybe they'll help me grow. And oh my God, I'm an NBA YouTuber with a chance to work with the NBA. This sounds like a win-win. Long story short, what they promised me was access to footage that just wasn't usable for the content that I had, that I was making. Essentially, if you guys subscribed to Chris Smooth back in the day, when he used to do those 1 minute, 2 minute recaps, that is the footage we had access to. And looking at Chris Smooth's channel, he also didn't edit that footage. He just ripped it from the drive, did a voiceover, and that was his video. So, you know, doing the videos that we do, let's say I'm talking about Hakeem, how the fuck am I going to use the Wizards versus Timberwolves highlights to talk about Hakeem? Like, that's just... What am I doing with that? You know what I'm saying? And there's a bunch of things too. Shout out to friend of the show, family of the show, SDC. He definitely outlined his experience when it comes to that. You know, they were trying to silence him for having opinions that were negative, I guess, in the eyes of the NBA, even though he just called Kevin Love overrated, and that's enough to like threaten him over that shit. But yeah, that's been my experience.
It took 80% of the AdSense too. He's burying the lead. Jesus, just burying it. It wasn't 80%. I'm playing.
It wasn't 80%, but yeah, I ain't gonna lie. It's one of the few times in my content creator journey where I genuinely felt like I was taken advantage of, especially for my age at that time too. But yeah.
So this is where Alvini comes in, based off of something that you said. You know, if you go on SDC's channel, for anybody out there who is watching this, never want you to click off, but take a quick second, go to his channel and find that video about NBA playmakers and see about the silencing that they had based off of negative verbiage. I want to add this in here real quick before we continue down that train of thought. I did the math. That 25,000 hours roughly equates to about 5 seasons of NBA footage. Right? If we just do the 48 minutes, roughly, you know, divided, you do your math. That's about 5 seasons. You're not going to get what you need. Everything, right? The NBA has been around for what? 70 something seasons?
Yeah, 77, 78.
Yeah. 77, 78 seasons. Hey, brother, if you want to get those early Bill Russell days, don't worry about it. The NBA only seems to be pushing certain footage, but
there was a special request thread that they started a couple years while I was in there, where essentially you hit your contact up, yo, I need this Hakeem footage. And they did deliver, but it took like a week. And y'all know how timelines go. Like when it comes to making videos, waiting a week for some footage is crazy. And then what they sent me was a 30-minute, 100 gigabyte file. Just
Jesus
one file
Christ.
that was 100 gigabytes on my slow ass family Wi-Fi that I had to download. Now, when it was downloaded, let me tell you, boy, that's the crispiest footage I've ever had to work with. But it was like once you edit it, it gets compressed by you. I didn't need that shit. I'm gonna just keep it a stack. I did not need that much footage. But yeah,
100 gigabytes is crazy.
One file. It was nuts.
So I saw this tweet. Alvini put out this tweet. Shouts out to Alvini. He says, I remember many years ago when the NBA hit me up as a potential partner, but wanted me to not talk bad about their players ever. This is truly just for online celebs who have zero ties to basketball / NBA outside of playing it. And Alvini and I put a tweet out there and he responded, but we can have it here. Alvini, do you want to kind of elaborate on that though? If you feel like that needs any elaboration, like this is a bad move, good thing, you know, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, just to piggyback off what Soul said, it was the same issue, not the same issue, but the same thing for me. They hit me up when I was like small, want to say like barely over 10,000. And, you know, for the people that have been with me for the longest, y'all know the type of content I was making back then that I do not make anymore. You know, don't speak on it. But back then when I was making NBA videos, it was mainly positive because I was just making the same type of videos that, you know, people before me had made, that I put my own little spin on it just to have fun because, again, that was early college for me. And, you know, when they hit me up, they was like, oh, we want you to be a partner. We'll take a little something from your ad revenue. Not like I was making much back then. So I didn't really mind it. But of course, their main thing was, and just to go back a little bit more, I wanted to be, in the media in some way. That's what I went to college for. More anti that now, just seeing what ESPN is nowadays and stuff like that. So I was really in for it. I was like, sure, I'll work my way up. I don't mind doing that. I still get to have fun on YouTube. If I need to get a job just to be able to actually have something, as long as I can work my way up, that's fine. Because that's always the type of mentality I've had with that type of stuff. But then they told me, oh, by the way, you can't speak negatively about anybody. Your contract can get terminated if you speak negatively, but we'll give you all these perks if you simply just do what we tell you to. And of course, like the library thing. And I'm like, yeah, see, the reason why I didn't want to go into sports, regular sports media anymore is because a lot of that stuff to me feels controlled. And here comes the cream of the crop, the people that I want to work with telling me the exact same thing that I'm against. So I'm like, no, I can't do that. You tell me I can't speak negatively about anything. So when I saw that tweet, talking about content creators, I know, obviously, thinking basketball, I watch his videos all the time. His stuff's neutral. It's just X's and O's. Of course, someone like him can work with the NBA. But like when it comes to the other people, I'm like, they don't even have any ties to basketball. They're just really trying to get the younger fans that watch them to watch basketball, which honestly, I don't even think is that much of an issue. Like, I think basketball is something that all ages can watch, especially with the new players nowadays. You're going to have, just like us growing up with LeBron, Kobe, all them. These new age players are going to be the players that some of these teenagers and kids are growing up with now in the same fashion. So,
well.
I know they're not the same type of caliber. But...
Well, no, not even necessarily that. So there's some numbers out there that are pretty much implying that the NBA is behind. Baseball's young demographic is up, which is strange because baseball just a couple years ago, not even a couple years ago, for a good minute, it's dead. It's an old man's game. It's cooked.
Yeah.
The football's young numbers are back up. Young numbers are good. The NBA's young numbers is hard to find, and I know if the numbers are hard to find, that means there's nothing to talk about. if any of us up here did a video that got 500K first day, we gonna put it up. If we drop a 10 out of 10, we're not gonna put it up. So then before I open it up fully, Alvini, how do you feel the state of NBA YouTube is today? Because we've had a lot of conversations about NBA YouTube not being in the best place. It's kind of hard capped. We're not seeing too much growth. It's not necessarily a positive space. People aren't necessarily going in the growth trajectory. But how do you feel about NBA YouTube today?
Well, obviously, as someone that used to watch people like the Dom 2Ks, like, B Souls when I was younger, it is completely different than what it used to be. And I'm not the biggest fan of it because, obviously I see all this stuff on Twitter, but I understand just from my little time in college when I was doing my media literacy classes and stuff like that, negativity sells. And it's unfortunate because people would rather criticize somebody, and obviously you're going to have that polarizing opinion get more traction than someone talking about the good of somebody else. So we went from back in the day where it was just, the basic stuff, just talking about just players in general or their feats, to now it's just, I'm not going to say slander. Slander is the wrong word, but now it's just obviously criticism.
It's slander.
That's the right word.
Okay, fine. If y'all agree, then I'll say it. Then it's slander almost all the time. Because I know in my videos, obviously it's a lot of criticism also, but I'm coming at it from, if I was someone that was researching the topic rather than just making claim after claim after claim. But nowadays, like I said, it's just all claims, not a lot of basis within those claims. And obviously the name of the game is to get engagement. And people will say the craziest things just to get engagement, even though if they don't really believe it at all. So I feel like that's where NBA YouTube, or just NBA media in general, TikTok, Instagram, especially, those two sites, is really going. And it's kind of interesting like that. And just to speak from it from an analytics standpoint, I was always confused nowadays seeing that my analytics say that my biggest people that watch my videos are 24 to 35. I'm like, I got some niggas as old as me watching my videos mainly. I'm like, that's interesting. But it goes back to what you're saying. I guess the young people, which is crazy for me to say I'm 25. I guess the younger audience isn't as enthused in the game as people who are already watching it that are just getting older. So I can definitely see what you mean by it is hard cap, but some people go into the game knowing that and just know what type of videos to make. And then you have people like me who are just doing it for the love of the game, really.
So I want to propose this to the room and open this up. For the people that are watching this or that are going to listen to this, we can bring Alvini in, we can bring in Low, we can bring in whoever, but I think it's a general sentiment about the NBA community that we all share about what it is, its trajectory, its hard caps. The NBA is pretty much saying, hey, you guys have spent 8 years, Alvini 5 years, whoever else 6 years, 7 years, whatever, trying to build this catalog to get to this point, and we're going to skip you to go to Drewski. We're going to skip you to go to Kai Cenat. We're going to skip you to do this, that, and the third. We're going to select a few of y'all, but we're going to skip you. And part of it could be about the claim about how you make your content. I posed this question to Alvini, and I'm going to pose it to y'all. I definitely want to start with Sage, but we're going to open it up. Knowing what we know now, you were young when you did it, would you go back and make your content positive?
Hell no. Absolutely not.
Hating ass. Damn.
Nah, bro. It's not even for the hate. It's just because if I'm going to speak the truth, I don't want myself to be suppressed to only speaking positively about people. Because while I do speak people's praises whenever the opportunity comes up, if someone does something that I disagree with, or someone does something that is just negative in the context of, it being bad, I'm going to have to say it, because then I just be avoiding the situation upright. And like I say, I'm a big proponent of freedom of speech and all that type of stuff, especially in the media. But it's oppressive to tell your partners to be, to only talk positively, toxic positivity, just to put a word out there, only like that. Because it's like, obviously, yeah, every player, in some facet is good, but there are negative facets to either, their character, to play on the court, a moment that they had. It's up in the air to discuss it. Why can't we discuss it? But obviously, I understand from a company standpoint why you wouldn't want your faces of the league to talk, bad about a player. That's why I said, of course, when it comes to thinking basketball, he barely, talks about the players. He talks about what they do on the court. And obviously, he doesn't speak, too negatively about it. Like what's that dude's name again?
Awful coaching.
Yeah. That's a completely different thing. Like that's strictly going after someone for being good or bad. In his case, it's just all about the analytics and, like I said, the love of the game. But I'm not a big fan of them suppressing people to only speak positively when there's so much to talk about. And obviously that's going to hard cap you on what you can talk about in the first place. So it's not really again, I understand why, but if anyone goes into it, I wouldn't consider it to be the best idea. But, if you work your way up and you don't mind doing it, then fuck it, go for it. But that couldn't be me personally. I make a decent amount of money doing what I do. So, even the NBA did hit me up and told me the same thing. I'm still going to tell them, go fuck yourself. If I make my money off my brands, if I make my money off the videos in AdSense, I don't need your money to push a certain agenda about every single player I am forced to talk about. Not forced to talk about, but I have to talk about.
Mr. Clippers?
No, they'll get their video soon. I ain't talking about them. That pain will happen in like a year or so when Kawhi's gone, if not 2 years. I'm waiting for that.
Gone.
Well, gone in our hearts, but we'll see how that turns out.
Nah, he gone physically.
Nah, he gone, gang.
There's a little part of me that's just like, hey, man, maybe, but life isn't fair, and Kawhi's already done what he has to do. So if he's just gone at this point, then hey, let's just push this one out. Wait till 2027 free agency. Try to bring people back to Los Angeles and try it again. Because that's all they're doing. They're just waiting. They gave him the contract because obviously, if we're the worst team in the league with a new dome, and then we're giving potentially a top 3 pick to the Thunder, that's horrible optics.
Yo, B Souls, this season you've been getting into more different sports, right?
I definitely have. And Prize Picks, our favorite daily fantasy sports app, and the sponsor of this video, has been helping me get into these other sports as well. The great thing about Prize Picks is that it offers weekly promotions. So on Thursdays, I'm making NBA picks because that's primetime NBA basketball time. On Sunday, football is on, so I'm making picks then. The app is just really fun. It's easy to use, and we're going to show you how to make lineups right now. So LeBron and the Lakers are about to play the Bucks. It is just a preseason game, so I'm going to go less honest points for this game. And today, I feel like Zach Edey is going to make a statement game. He's going to get more than 9 points.
And since you've been getting into football, let me tell you about my MVP dual threat sleeper, Jaden Daniels. I'm taking more on his yards any and every time I get.
Let's go ahead and put $12 on this lineup right here. Click submit lineup, and boom. That is how you make a lineup on Prize Picks.
Go to prizepicks.com and use code LKIAB to receive a guaranteed $50 once you play $5 in lineups.
And shout out to Prize Picks again for sponsoring this video. That is once again code LKIAB. And back to the video.
We're not here to save your team. Sage, are you going back to change your content? Are you going back to be positive?
So I have to still join the community. At that point, yeah, no, I'm basically gonna do the same shit. I'd probably double down on doing whatever I want even more, because there's been times where I'll see something in the NBA and I'm like, okay, I have to talk about this, have to talk about that. If anything, I would do this NBA shit over again. If I had to do it over again, I would do it in a way where it's quite literally me just doing whatever the hell I want, however the hell I want, whenever the hell I want to, versus trying to chase views at some point in time. Like, obviously when you're trying to make a name for yourself, you're going to do what you got to do. But like, even when I'm at like 1,000 subscribers, I would just double down on do whatever the hell I want. Like, because I think the biggest mistake that a lot of the newer NBA YouTubers are making, and that's why we're in this fucked up system, is because at some point niggas got bills to pay and they're trying to chase the easy view bot. But the easy view bot is led by, respectfully, a toxic community, and even more toxic entity at times, considering how they treat the people that are truly NBA YouTubers compared to other people that do YouTube and are supporting or funding the NBA. So yeah, I would just do whatever the hell I want. Whatever happens, happens.
Mr. Russell Westbrook hate space?
Oh, yeah. See, for me personally, I'm not going to say I would go back and just be positive, but I would just not be NBA guy. I would just settle on just being a different type of content creator in general. I would have sold myself as a personality that would have still had the door open to be able to work with the NBA and get that shit off if I wanted to, but not be dubbed the NBA guy. Not going to say no, not fuck that. I'm going to go back and stand on my 10. I say what I want. Fuck that. There's bags to get. I got kids, man. I ain't going to hold you. You should see what them commas do, man. Tyler Creator said it the best, man. You should see what them commas do to you. You should see what them commas will do. I ain't going to lie.
Yeah, nah, that's actually my answer too. I ain't gonna lie. If I had to start over for real, I wouldn't get into NBA YouTube, knowing what it takes to get to the top, what the space is gonna evolve into. I would have tried a lifestyle channel. I would have tried a tech channel, and if all else fails, I'm gonna just keep going to college and get my degree and get a regular ass job. But
finance,
if
that's what you should do.
If the question is just if I were to stay in NBA YouTube, what I would have done?
You did.
I ain't gonna lie, I might have sold out for the bag. I ain't gonna lie. I would have changed up my content to be nicer. I think the reason why I think in basketball can get off like these partnerships with the NBA, like, because if you watch him, he's been critical of players before. It's just, I think a lot of it is delivery. A lot of it is word choice. Like, you don't have to say Rudy Gobert is ass. You don't even have to say, Rudy Gobert is overrated. You can just talk about the aspects of the game he needs to work on. Like, there's a way to, get your shit off without, damaging these relationships. That's my main thing. Now, will it make for an interesting video? That's the question. But a guy like Thinking Basketball has definitely cracked the code that, yeah, you can make an interesting ass video as long as you truly know what the fuck you're saying. And also not slander these players, not talk down on these players. And I don't want to, I didn't think I was going to throw bail when it comes to the NBA in this regard, but y'all kind of hinted at it earlier. If I'm the NBA, like, why would I partner with these creators talking about why Andrew Wiggins is a bust? You know what I'm saying? Like, why, Cheryl Swoops' legacy is ass and all these different, like, why would I? Why? I'm going to just go to Kai You gonna get a Instagram post, a TikTok post of him dancing at the stadium. And gonna drive a lot of traffic too because of his big ass fan base. Why not do that? Why not just partner with these NBA highlight channels that, you know, they have no option but to positively promote our sport? Well, you could get nasty with it, but y'all know what I'm saying. So
no, I mean, and that's when I was going back, not going back and forth, but when I was commenting towards Alvini, that's kind of what I wanted to hint at, and that's why I thought it would be good to have the conversation. I think that there's still a way to be critical without calling Gobert a bitch, right? I think that there's still a way to his finishing at the rim needs to improve, as opposed to he's got brick hands, he's a pussy. Like, I think that there might be some sort of balance. Now, I do see MJ in the chat. Shouts out to MJ, friend of the show. Talking about sensational journalism winning over rationalism. That might be a part of the conversation to say, like, all right, if I know what I know, would I go back and do it? Sure. How far would I be, and how long would it take for me to get to my goal? Would it really, like, you could do a thinking back. I think thinking basketball is just like a too perfect example. Nobody up here probably would have replicated a thinking basketball. Like, even if you went back, like, that's not your style. That's not your steez. But what does a channel that does what you do or did even look like from a positive perspective? How can you even be that guy? I think Sage's biggest video is a video dunking on the Clippers. Alvini, what's your you know what your biggest video is off the top of your head?
Biggest, well, the Julian Newman stuff. So obviously negative, but recently 800,000 views just talking about the Timberwolves after KG left to now, which I didn't really say too much negative stuff. It was just a lot of research towards the topic. If I said anything negative, it was just about them being a bad team at times, but that's probably about as bad as it would go. Because even I recognize, obviously, I can't be calling niggas bitches and shit all the time like I used to, but I keep that type of stuff as minimal as possible for, like, sponsors and stuff like that, but I'm still very much critical if I need to be.
Damo is Mr. Russell Westbrook, hate space, Bezos.
Andrew Wiggins is a bust is like my claim to fame, low key, bro. Motherfuckers weren't saying that till I said it. So.
Yeah,
I'd say
I'm just saying, man.
I just counted mine. It's literally, in terms of like things past 80K basketball related, it would be all but 2 videos: RDC's basketball compilation and Steph Curry proving everybody wrong. Every other video north of 80,000 is what's it called? Is a negative toned basketball video. That in terms of basketball shit. Obviously, I got the anime shits on there. But yeah, I think, but that's kind of like my issue, why I would just do whatever I want ultimately, because yeah, there's definitely ways to not call Rudy Gobert a bitch. Yeah, there's definitely ways to not have a corny little rant on the Clippers or whatever, right? But then where does that positivity, and this is why I say people sell out for the bag until they're not offered that bag.
Yeah.
Where does that positive small sub 100 subscriber YouTuber go when he's dropping positive video left, right? We can keep it a band. That nigga wouldn't get, it would be harder to find a guy like that and then subscribe to a guy like that than a guy who sits here and says, yeah, Jimmy Butler's a bitch. Like for some reason, don't ask me why, but for some reason in the NBA community, hell, in life, it's just more appealing to people to see someone get dunked on it, to either A, correct them for bullying, or B, agree with them and agree with the bullying. So yeah, I think the reason why I would still do whatever the hell I want is because I ain't got time to deal with, oh, this company's going to offer me this company's going to offer me that, and then simultaneously not grow my channel because I'm over here dropping shit that eventually I'm gonna get tired of, and then most importantly, I just feel like I'm not gonna grow. So
you and this is why I also think it's interesting, because knowing what you know now, and I think a lot of people up here started their platforms, or hell, even a lot of people just in the NBA, YouTube, NBA content creator space, period, started these platforms based off of their dislike of what's going on television and saying to themselves, I'm going to create this because that's going to be my path to potentially getting there or some sort of big platform. But knowing what you know now, are you in a, and this is just a general question to the panel, is this a situation where you're just okay with never being to that level? If your YouTube channel never gained another subscriber based off basketball content, and you never got any more views based off of basketball content, like I'm talking about any more higher views, whatever you get now is what you get now. Whatever you get peak playoffs, and are you okay with that? If that means you're never gonna get to sit with Ernie and Chuck or D Wade or Kendrick Perkins and talk about,
Well, I'll go first because I'm cheating. Absolutely. Like I don't get basketball views anymore, so I'd be perfectly fine with that. If it were a Souls and Sage thing, I guess that's a fair way to have that conversation. I think for Souls and Sage, our goal isn't trying to somehow, some way show people that this and get a job on First Take at this point. Me and B-Souls are literally about to triple down, mild spoiler, on just making basketball fun, because we know ultimately, I mean, we knew, and now it's proven that we're not gonna get the game tickets, we're not gonna get the ESPN appearances, anything like that, and most importantly, we kind of don't care for it anymore too. So at this point, yeah, I absolutely would, even if I had to rely on basketball views via Souls and Sage. But for my personal, I mean, no, fuck the basketball community. Well, fuck them niggas. I don't care. Like I was talking, like I'm over here talking about the Clippers video, nigga. I got like 4 videos that passed the Clippers video, and 3 of them are positive. Fuck the basketball community. What are we talking about?
Damn. Fuck y'all, Chad. That's what he just said.
Okay, that's what he said. That's crazy. You don't care either.
I really don't.
Me, I say fuck basketball too. I would. I said it earlier. If I could go back and do it again, hey man, I would just be Damo. I would not want to tie myself down to just being seen as this basketball creator, because shit's whack and it just turned into some shit that genuinely is not fun no more. So I would just go back.
Really burnt you out, huh? Damn.
No, it's not even about the burnout I had from the past season. It's just looking at what the piece can be for shit. Like realistically, taking a step back and thinking about what the field is and how I can actually stack up to doing that. Like I always have self-belief of thinking that we can be as big as anybody else, but being realistic, ain't gonna be too many goddamn number on the boards. It's just not. For our lane, for being internet people, like Omar's right. When I started this, it was to be the next Stephen A. That's what I set out to be, pursuing some dream on talking basketball on YouTube, was to be sitting on ESPN telling Kendrick Perkins, nah, bro, you're stupid. Nah, I don't agree with you. That was the end goal. That is not happening right now. Like that's just realistically, that's just not something I see happening. So I would just wash my hands with it altogether.
Yeah, I think a lot of people within the YouTube creator space, they try to like feel like it's a vehicle for them to be on like the mainstream shit that we're used to, like ESPN, like, you know, a TNT. But I think the more and more I've been in the space, you just kind of have to embrace that the space is what it is. Like it's separate. You know what I'm saying? Like you shouldn't aspire to be on ESPN. You shouldn't aspire to be on TNT. What you should aspire to be is the just be the best content creator you can be, and that's just that. You know what I'm saying? Like if your prerogative is to be on ESPN, on TNT, I feel like that's kind of weird. I ain't gonna lie, because at that point, like,
oh shit.
No, because your goal at that point isn't necessarily just to talk about basketball for a living. Like your goal is to be on ESPN specifically. You know what I'm saying, or TNT. If there's an avenue for you to talk about basketball, carefree, all these different things, then just say whatever the fuck you want and stay on YouTube. But just know that, like, yo, that is your limit. You know what I'm saying? So,
Alvini, I know you said you hated media today, so
yeah, I'm not a big fan. But repeat your question just so I get the full scope of things again.
If knowing what you know now, are you okay with never reaching that peak, because it used to be a perceived peak, but the peak of, hey, I'm going to be sitting across from Stephen A, battling him. If it meant your channel doesn't gain another subscriber based off of basketball opinions. If it meant whatever your views are, average wise, whatever your 1 out of 10 is, your 10 out of 10, 5 out of 10, that stays the same for the rest of your life. Are you okay with that? And never being on TV?
I would say yes, for sure. Because for me, like I said, when I came into this, basketball was my everything. You know, I stopped playing when I went to college. And after that point, I was like, well, I just want to be in basketball in some way. And my YouTube channel ended up being that. You know, I've had some good times and bad times. I'm in a good time right now, a real good time. But if I were to never grow and my peak was just, you know, just what a 1 out of 10 is for me, I'd be fine with that. Because, you know, if I'm able to just make money talking about the sport, you know, no one's controlling what I get to say. I still get my sponsors. I still get good amount of money just because of the type of content that I make. And then I could, you know, because nowadays I'm just using that money just to grow it. Yeah, that's fine with me because it's just something I can just sit down and do once a month. And I'm cool with that. I mean, I know, like I said, when I was younger, it was all about, oh, cool, I'll grow up a channel, use that as a resume, go work for a media company when I get older and, you know, tired of doing the YouTube stuff. And that's cool with me. But nowadays it's like, I don't think there's even a good one to even work for it. If you can do your own thing and make a good amount of money from it for it, then there's not really much you really need to do outside of that. You know, you can just keep doing what you're doing and try to ride it out as long as you can. And obviously, even though there is that cap, if you're still making a decent amount of money and your goal isn't to be fucking, I don't know, Elon Musk somewhere, then I'm about to say, just be fine where you are, be content, and try to find other avenues where you can, you know, grow with the money that you have. And that's exactly what I'm doing. So yeah, if I were to stay at 70,000 right now and still get the same views that I'm getting, that's cool with me. As long as the paycheck is still the same thing, I am cool with it. Because when I was younger, you know, the money wasn't there, but I wasn't responsible for anything. Now I'm 25, so I got to pay. I got to start. I'm going to be getting a house soon, so I'm going to be definitely needing to pay some bills. So then the priorities start to change a little bit.
Yeah, you would have to find somebody who is like obsessed with growth, which I kind of am. So I could see how somebody who may be watching this video, stream, pod, whatever, and they only got 100 subscribers, and they're like, man, y'all are bugging the fuck out. But I guess I would say my answer would still even be no, despite all of that, because I know what the peak is, which is like 300K, and then you hit a fucking stone wall. And then in terms of that revenue or whatever, you just piss yourself off realizing that, yeah, unless you make a somewhat micro pivot to get your brand seen by multiple eyes, you pretty much are going to run into that wall regardless. I don't think anyone on the stage respectfully has hit the peaks of peaks yet, but it's like the fact that Bezos is like by far and away the closest, and that nigga saying no is like kind of a red flag of hell. So is that.
Yeah, I mean, y'all laid out some good stuff. I wanted to have Alvini on there, try to give a little pushback, try to see if we could push this. But I think ultimately, maybe as a general statement, I would probably tell somebody getting into content to stay fairly neutral. But if we're specifically talking about passion projects, which I think everybody that got into this, basketball is and was a passion project for them, you should be able to be freely passionate about what you were passionate about. Now, if you're going to be a generalized entertainer, which there's an argument that says being a general entertainer can get you closer to that ESPN sitting across from the desk fantasy than being an NBA guy. If you are going to be a general entertainer, stay fairly neutral, give some criticisms, because right now I think Kai could do just about anything ever. If somebody put pots and pans in front of him, he could advertise that, sell that. He could be sitting across from Rachel Ray if he wanted to, or Gordon Ramsay. If he went into the finance space, he could be sitting across from Graham Stephan. Like that doesn't matter because he's a general NBA guy or a general entertainer. But as far as being an NBA specific person or an NFL specific person, especially with the way that things are going, they're gonna choose an athlete over you, gang. Even, and I don't want to be disrespectful to them because I don't know their numbers. I hope this doesn't come off as disrespectful. But like, until I see Kenny and them really, really be on ESPN, then I can fully say, okay, that this is different. And by fully on ESPN, not their show necessarily, because they do have a show. But I'm talking about across from Stephen A. like folks dreamed as kids. Until I see that, I'll probably just feel like this is a dream deferred. This is not something that's obtainable. Otherwise, they're gonna pick up, I don't know, Rajon Rondo or who about to be out the league in the next couple years.
It's like no.
I don't know. Yeah, Chris Duhon or Kobe Buffkin. Yeah, Chris Paul. Chris Paul gonna be the next one. They're gonna choose Omar or Chris Paul. They're gonna choose Chris Paul. It is what it is.